For all the good our criminal justice system does, it is very flawed. I mean, just look at us. Riots in the streets, hatred between law enforcement and the public, ridiculously overcrowded jails. We have a flawed system. And yes, I can admit, of course, no system is ever perfect. But our system has so many flaws that don't need to exist. Our system discriminates against the poor, and it is a plaything for the affluent. The American criminal justice system is broken, and it is a long ways away from being fixed. There are four weaknesses that I feel are crippling our criminal justice system today. The first is greed. The system today is no longer dedicated to serving justice. It is dedicated to making profits. The poor in our country suffer because of lack of funds to be able to see themselves through the system. So look at how we have 500,000 people sitting in jail because they can't pay bail. That's ridiculous because they can't pay bail. Absolutely ridiculous. This leads to the next major weakness that I find in our criminal justice system: corruption. Corruption in our system runs rampant at all levels of law enforcement, from a regular street cop all the way to the highest systems of justice. Corruption is a disease, a cancer, that will never, of course, go away because in any government there is always corruption. But corruption at the levels we're talking about in American society right now, in our justice system, is at unbelievably high levels. Dirty cops, dirty federal agents, dirty all forms of law enforcement. There are people who take bribes, commit crimes, and ignore criminal activity just so they can push themselves forward. It is not the job of law enforcement to encourage corruption and greed and wealth. It is their job to protect and serve, and many of them are not doing their jobs. Racism is the third major weakness of our justice system. Just look at all the recent riots about George Floyd's death and all the other deaths of minority Americans over the last few years and couple decades. It is a terrible thing. And yes, our country as a whole does have racist beliefs, and that's never going to change. But it is the duty of law enforcement to ignore cultural impact and protect and serve all Americans equally, regardless of the color of their skin, where they're from, or who they are. I mean, look at our prisons. African Americans make up more than 30% of the inmate population on both a federal and state level. Yet they're only 13% of the total American population. Look at that. Look at how minorities are treated. And it is plain to see that the justice system is a racist organization. The final weakness is hatred. There is a deep-seated hatred between law enforcement and the American people for many different reasons. This hatred can be due to corruption, racism, greed, and numerous other problems that the American justice system perpetuates and doesn't fix. This hatred has rooted itself deep in American culture. Many people in America hate law enforcement on the principle that they are law enforcement, regardless of whether they're doing their jobs well or not. This hate is going to take generations of positive interaction to fix, and we don't see that happening anytime soon. Despite all these problems, the justice system has one massive strength, and that is the people. For all of this talk of corruption, hatred, greed, racism, for every one bad apple in law enforcement, there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of great, honorable people doing good work to protect and serve the citizens of this country on both a police level, a federal level, a state level, local level. There are hundreds of thousands, no, millions of people that are working hard every day and putting their lives on the line to protect the rest of us. It is one of the highest and noblest calls you can answer, and these people are the backbone of our society. We have the people. We have the strength. Now, if we can fix the rest of the problems, then maybe the American criminal justice system can be something that we can be proud of once again.